like he does more than just like physically train Hercules, right? I mean, he does, and that's great.
He does,
but he mentors him as like, dude, this is what you gotta like. Not always great, but he's very much like tries to be there for him as like a mentor and help him mentor. It would be a mentor if it was Chiron the Centaur. He'd be the mentor. I'm not sorry. I'm on a string of bad jokes. I'm after a week of late night studying, and I'm so tired. Let's go. Welcome, mortals, monsters, and myth lovers alike. You're listening to Podcast of Poseidon, where we explore ancient myths and their modern retellings by reading Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This is Chapter 5, Chiron. I'm your co-host, on loan from the Hunters of Artemis, Darien and Smartt. Joining me is my co-host and brother, hailing from Cabin 19, DJ.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? If you don't know, Cabin 19 is Taiki, sorry. It's just spelled really
Smote,
weird.
You've been smited. It's over.
Yeah, it's Taiki, and she is the goddess of chance.
Yeah, and the odds of you messing up the pronunciation of the name, very high.
100% of the time that I pronounce it.
As soon as it starts recording, you will mispronounce the name. Well, today, DJ is going to be the one taking us on this fantastic mythical journey because I started a new job and started taking online college courses again. And everything is psychology. So, Davis, what have you got for us? Me and the audience.
So today we're talking about Chiron, and it's going to be a good time because he kind of was wild in his days. For those of you who don't know, Chiron was born from Kronos and a girl named Philyra, I want to say. And the reason he's half man, half horse is because when he was doing the nasty with Philyra, Kronos was caught by Rhea, and he transformed into a horse to try to get out of it in the midst of sex.
Yikes! Oh, yikes!
And so Chiron comes out, and he's the eldest of all the centaurs, and then all the centaurs are descendants of his daughters, I think. I think that's, if I read that correctly, or they were nursed by his daughters? I'm not certain. It was very unclear. It was written in that Greek way where, like, everything's kind of a riddle.
Yeah.
So, and then, like, Chiron is, the great teacher, as Smite Battleground would say.
Well, we're, like, not even 3 minutes into the episode, and GG's always like, let me talk about Smite now.
Smite's great. I'm going to get to it later because, like, it's pretty good. But, yeah, he taught a lot of heroes. Jason... Aristocles? No. Asclepius. That's the guy's name.
What did he do?
Achilles. Asclepius.
I know Jason, and I know, obviously, Achilles. But I don't know this Asclepius gentleman.
Asclepius? He was the god of medicine.
Whoa!
Which makes sense, because that's a perfect segue. Chiron was the father of medicine and surgery. In a lot of situations, he was just healing people left and right and just going to town on it. Just having a fucking good time.
That's
like he healed
really cool.
The Phoenix and the blindness and other shit like that.
Why does Apollo get all the credit for this? Like, why is that medical symbol the stick with the snakes on it? Or is that Hermes?
That's
Hermes. That's Hermes. Yeah. Okay. Well, my question still stands: is if Chiron is the father of medicine and surgery, why don't ambulances have like a fucking centaur silhouette?
I couldn't tell you.
Dave, you had to be prepared for all of my weird questions. This is what it means to be the one that did the research.
Let's be real here. Apollo's a god.
But we're talking about Hermes.
You're right. But even still, Hermes is a god.
Yeah.
Like, my point still stands, just a different name. You know?
I mean, yeah.
So, and he raised Achilles from birth, too. Like, a lot of what I was reading was in the first person of Achilles, which was kind of weird. But just totally did not baby Achilles at all.
Even when he was a baby?
From at age 5, he was wielding swords and bows, pretty much. War was ingrained into it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, to be fair, Achilles was essentially immortal, save for that, one little heel. So, like, I guess
Yeah.
if, like, you're Chiron and you're raising, like, a demigod baby with, like, that kind of ability, you know you don't have to, like, take him through the tutorial, because he's gonna be fine.
Yeah, pretty
He's
much.
got the Mario Superstar from, like, the get-go, so let's not even worry about that. Let's just get good.
Chiron's just kind of cool. He was just wildin', and his death was extraordinarily tragic in most situations.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. I have a question. So before we get to his death, I want to talk about real quick, why did he become a teacher in the first place?
They didn't really explain a lot of shit in that what I was reading. Mm-hmm. Probably to just like fuck with his dad.
That's so good. It's like if your dad is a preacher, you become like, you know, a rock star tattoo artist just to be like, fuck my dad. And it's like, oh, if your dad's an evil cannibalistic titan, you decide you're gonna train his grandchildren for the rest of eternity to kick ass. I like it. I'm here for it. That's a mood.
After his dad was murdered, Chiron was found by Apollo, and Apollo taught him the art of music, lyre, and archery.
That's cool.
And prophecy.
Is that why centaurs are often associated with prophecy down the road, you think?
Probably.
I dig it.
I mean, at least Chiron, because a lot of centaurs are kind of dicks and savages.
Yeah.
For the most part.
What's up with that? Do we know? Why is Chiron chill and everyone else is not?
I couldn't tell you. I feel like it was horses that were nursed by Chiron's daughters just became centaurs, but they still had that wild horse attitude. Like, fuck you, I'm the best.
Yeah, that's a horse. That is a horse. Every horse I've ever met.
And so that's probably where that comes from, and it's a great segue into the tragedy of Chiron's death.
Perfect. Okay, here we are. We found it.
Yeah, which was, in most that I read, except for one, which I thought was really stupid, and I'll get to that, most of them that I read, Hercules was hunting the other Chiron, the other centaurs, because, I mean, they were probably just, like, being assholes.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real here. And they all fled to where Chiron was staying and was just, like, huddling around Chiron, hoping that he would protect him. And Hercules shot an arrow that was tipped with hydra poison.
What a dick!
He wasn't even aiming at Chiron, though. It hit a fellow centaur, but it went right through him and hit Chiron in the knee.
Oh, no, he took an arrow to the knee!
Yeah.
It's such a bad, outdated meme that I just said, but, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And Heracles was mortified.
Oh, wow.
Fucking did not want that to happen. Because, I mean, he was also kind of partially trained by Chiron.
Yeah.
So he went and he just murdered one of his teachers. And at this time, Chiron was immortal, but in immense pain.
Ooh.
A wound that would not heal because of the hydra poison.
Ooh.
And it was just searing pain. And the gods took pity on him and took his immortality and gave it to Heracles and let Chiron die.
The fuck?
And made... I think, no, it was Chiron who wanted that. He's like, give my immortality to Heracles.
Okay.
And
all right, because Chiron's cool till the end. Chiron's a great teacher.
Oh, yeah. And then they made Chiron Sagittarius, the constellation in the stars.
So Sagittarius is from November 23rd through December 21st.
We're about a month away from that, in fact.
We are. By the time this episode comes out, we should actually be into Sagittarius season, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I should stop dating our episodes.
Yeah, Davis, how was everybody's Halloween parties last week? No one had parties, we're in COVID.
How was everyone's Halloween parties last month?
No parties, it's COVID.
But the one that I read that was really dumb was Heracles was visiting Chiron, and Chiron was inspecting his arrows and dropped it on his foot.
Wow. Also, Chiron has hooves.
Well, I mean, like, it said hooves, but,
Yeah, okay.
It's still so dumb.
That one's worse. Yeah, I don't...
Yeah.
Not all retellings are good. Let's talk.
No, not at all.
What the fuck is that about? That's so... That was we go for, like, tragic?
That one was weird.
That was weird, yeah. I mean, I don't like Chiron being killed in... Or, being in immense pain, and then her. But like, I like it better than him dropping a fucking arrow on himself. I actually like the.
And then being in immense pain.
What's the message there? What's the message there?
Don't drop arrows that are tipped in poison. I don't know.
Practice arrow safety.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I'm like, man, that's dumb. And then I scrolled past it.
That's super interesting that Hercules was responsible for the death of the very first centaur, because I know, like, one of the Hercules myths is that his wife, his wife, I don't remember her name.
Which one?
Yeah, I don't remember which one. Not the first one, who he killed because Hera. The later one was worried that Hercules was going to be unfaithful to her, and so I'm pretty sure, like, Hera rolled up disguised as like an old woman is like, oh, if you want to make sure your husband is like faithful to you for all time, just like smear some centaur blood in his jacket and that'll do it. And so she did, and it was incredibly painful, and Hercules dies from that? Question mark. But that's
I didn't read about Hercules. I read about Chiron.
We're talking about Chiron. But like the if he's immortal, then it wouldn't have. But like, if it's interesting, because these myths are all like.
The myths are all
over the place. But like, so it's interesting if he was associated with the death of Chiron, and then the centaur blood is what killed him.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it.
And then, like, so for those of you who don't know what Smite is, I've talked about it before, but I don't think I explained it.
Oh, hold up. We should talk about Chiron and Percy Jackson. I don't think we haven't really been talking about them as much.
Well, I mean, like, what were we supposed to talk about Dionysus and Percy Jackson? He drinks Coke?
Yeah, probably.
Diet Coke?
I mean, it's part of, like, the whole, like, how are these retelling? So, in, like, Chiron is alive and running around, even though he died, but he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, gods, Greek.
Yeah. So Medusa's also here. Let's not talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, they could reform. So, it.
But yeah, Chiron is still teaching heroes.
Yeah.
And training heroes.
And actually, in
teaching
Percy
them Latin.
In Percy Jackson, he wasn't even immortal at first. They gave him immortality to continue to teach heroes.
Yeah, that and hey, from that, can you tell the books were written by a teacher? Because that's like a teacher move.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
I kind of love it. But yeah, Chiron's solid. I think in Percy Jackson, he's still got that.
He's a good time in Smite too.
All right, so now let's talk about Smite.
Yeah, let's I love Smite. It's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. For those of you who don't know, it's a multiplayer online battle arena where you just like select. I would say gods because it's called the battlefield, the battlegrounds of the gods. Mm-hmm. But at this point, it's really gods and heroes and monsters. Because you got people like Achilles, who's not really a god, and Mulan, who's a historical person,
like historical, but also a figure from a ancient Chinese ballad. So like both,
and so she's there, and it's pretty great. It's just a good time. Every time you select a character, you can look at their lore piece, and so it says a bit about them. Mm-hmm. And for Chiron, it said that he liked being part of like the arts and science a lot more than war. Mm-hmm. But that's all his heroes ever grew up to be known for was war and battle. And like that's all the songs that sang about him. And he was kind of bummed out about that. He was like, yeah, whatever. But when he was released, they have this whole fucking narrative going on in Smite that like when the gods fight and like different gods also join in the fight and try to take over the world and the battleground and shit like that. Mm-hmm. But at his time, it was just the gods were fighting and tearing up the world that he loves so dearly. And so he has to join the fight to calm them down.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, to save everything he wants and to calm them down, he joins the fight. And it's really funny compared to one of the most recent additives, Cthulhu.
Oh shit! You've got Cthulhu.
Cthulhu was added, and his whole thing was to bring madness to the world. And his kid's fucking cool as shit.
Ooh.
But yeah, and so it's super cool that they just got like this big fucking narrative spanning across the.
That's really neat. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And, listeners, if you couldn't tell based on my reaction to learning Cthulhu's in that game, I do not play Smite. I love the idea of it, but I am not good at video games is the thing. But I like video games and I like hearing about video games, and I listen to a couple video game podcasts for someone who literally plays no video games.
But yeah, that's all I got on Chiron. I mean, I know that there's a lot more for him, and did it within the hour before we did the podcast. But...
Don't admit to that. I've got a couple more that I pulled up just real quickly of like a list of like Chiron and like centaurs in general in pop culture. And I think maybe like zeroing it down on like Chiron specifically rather than like centaurs in general, because as you mentioned, Chiron is very different than other centaurs. Like,
oh yeah,
he's not.
I mean, even in the series they do that, but they don't show up until like Sea of Monsters, I think.
Yeah, the party ponies. We will talk about the centaurs and their whole thing. All right, so a couple examples of centaurs that line up with the tradition of Chiron. Definitely the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I didn't do a spoiler warning. I promised we do spoiler warnings. You know what?
Yeah.
All right, check. I actually don't have a list. I'm just... check the description. I'll put it there when I'm editing. So the Chronicles of Narnia from C.S. Lewis depicts centaurs as from this article, the quote, wisest and noblest of creatures.
And that is Chiron.
Because they're also gifted at stargazing, prophecy, healing, and warfare. So the centaurs in the Chronicles of Narnia definitely carrying on that Chiron tradition. Healers, warriors, prophecy, the whole vibe. We also get to that old folktale with no author, Harry Potter. And again, we have centaurs who are, well, not necessarily. It's weird, right? Because initially, when we meet this handful of centaurs, they're like talking about the stars and very into like prophecy and stargazing. You can't get straight answers out of them. Oh, Mars is really bright tonight. Yeah, Mars, god of war, rising at the beginning of the series about a wizarding war brewing again. Yes, they are, skilled at archery, healing, astrology, prophecy, that kind of things. And one of the centaurs actually ends up going to Hogwarts to teach the divination class because he's on the outs with the rest of his herd because he's less of a jackass than they are.
Like, man, I can't understand a thing they're saying. I can't stand them anymore.
But so when they're first introduced in like book 1, when we meet these centaurs, that's when we get the very like prophecy and healing and like very like they come off as like elves, as very above it all. And then when one centaur, Firenze, saves Harry from being murdered by Quirrell Voldemort, the other centaurs are like, the fuck did you do? Why are you meddling? Why are you letting this human child ride on your back? What the fuck? And very like judgy about it. Very like feels very elves, right? Like we're too good to meddle.
Yeah.
Well, smash cut to like book 5, and the centaurs are basically like the wild barbarians.
Maybe this is a different
same
friend.
dudes. Same dudes.
Did J.K. Rowling just forget?
Well, I don't know, because there's no author for Harry Potter, so we honestly have no way of knowing. The reasons. It's oral tradition. You have different versions as things progress. No, I mean, to be fair, they were like pissed and having their like rights stripped away, and Umbridge was a bitch.
Okay, well, that's a bit different.
But, so they kidnap Umbridge. And then when somebody gets her back, she's traumatized, and we know what centaurs in Greek. Well, she's a bitch. We know what centaurs in Greek mythology, wild centaurs in Greek mythology, tend to do with human women that they kidnap. So, which brings me to Hercules, Disney's Hercules, the ever-present Disney's Hercules.
See centaurs?
There's one centaur. He is harassing Megra at the beginning of the movie. Yeah, that's a centaur, dude.
Wasn't he? I just forgot because he was massive,
huge,
and had like a troll body instead of.
I think he was a river spirit, is what Hades says. He's like someone that Megra was supposed to like get to join Hades' side, and I
totally forgot that guy was a centaur.
Yeah, right. So he's like the one centaur in the movie, which I definitely want to talk more about Hercules right now, because let's talk about how they gave Chiron's role to
Phil.
Yeah, to Phil Danny DeVito as
satyr?
Phil the satyr.
I think they got Danny DeVito and like, man, we can't do Chiron. Like, we really want Danny DeVito. He's the big thing in the 90s right now. We want Danny DeVito. But we can't do him as like a fucking noble centaur. Mm-hmm. He's got to be a crotchety old satyr.
Yeah. I wonder if it's like
come on,
easier to animate probably right. I wouldn't like it's
It's
Disney. They got
gotta
money.
be.
But it was also like the 90s.
Well, I mean, that was also, they were hand animating back then.
Yeah, but still. I mean, they did
So.
centaurs in like Fantasia and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Who knows?
I think it was like,
as I was like
it's supposed to be
reading, I'm
funny.
like, wait, Chiron trained Achilles?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew like Philocrates or whatever. Like, I knew Phil wasn't really a thing,
Yeah.
but I thought it, like, but then I'm like, oh shit, okay.
No, yeah, he lists like, oh, Jason and the Argonauts and this and this. He like lists all these.
Yeah, literally fucking took Chiron out.
Yeah,
but Phil
just
in.
put Phil in. Yeah. Do you think Chiron hates that? Like the Percy Jackson books take place in this world, and Chiron would be aware. Do you think he hates it just a little bit? Like not as much as Hades hates Hercules, the Disney movie from 1995, but like maybe if we're gonna talk about we should do an episode on who got the most slighted in Disney's Hercules from 1995. Yep.
Slighted?
Who got the shortest end of the stick?
Zeus would be like, I mean, they made me a good guy.
Zeus always thinks of himself as a good guy, so he's just like accurate.
Oh,
I think it might have been Chiron. I mean, yeah, Hades is a dick, but like I think it might have been Chiron.
Chiron, yeah, he didn't even fucking
He wasn't even there, and that role was clearly his. That's who he is.
Literally just the trainer.
Yeah, the teacher.
That's all he is.
Yeah.
The great teacher.
He trains lots of like heroes to like do battle and stuff. And like they often die, but that's not his fault. That's what Greek heroes do.
Yeah. And he hates it
every single time. And it is a bummer. Right? It's brutal.
It had to have hurt when he fucking saw it. Achilles die.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. He like raised Achilles. And like all the heroes that like he's ever trained and like the kids at Camp Half-Blood who don't come back from their quest. Just like
gotta be just rough.
Yeah, but he knows that this is the destiny these children have on them as just the existence that has been thrust upon them by their godly parent. So he can't change it. He can't save them. All he can do is give them the tools so maybe they get to save themselves and maybe they get to survive. He can't just like, even though it hurts, he can't just send them out in the world unprepared. He's got to keep trying and giving pieces of himself, which is like, I feel like a very teacher thing to do. I don't know, I'm not a teacher, but I know the teachers who I remember and like held on to and it really inspired me felt like they always like tried to give little pieces of themselves to their students and be like, yeah, here's what you need.
Rather than just sitting down and doing the job.
Yeah, like a little bit more. My favorite teachers were my 5th grade teacher and then my 6th grade English teacher.
My favorite teacher was my 2nd grade teacher, and as much as like shit as I've given her on this show, I really liked my theater teacher.
Yeah.
In high school. She was very cool.
Awesome. So we know Chiron is a great teacher. He taught Jason, he taught Achilles, he taught Percy Jackson. He's great. But he's not the only great teacher in lore, in pop culture. So we're going to see how Chiron's teaching stacks up against another teacher from pop culture. So DJ, which teacher from pop culture are we going to be talking about?
Dewey Finn, School of Rock, Jack Black.
Okay. So for any of our audience who hasn't seen Blackjack's masterpiece, School of Rock, DJ, what is this movie about?
School of Rock is about Jack Black's character, who goes by the alias when he answers the phone of his roommate, Ned Schneebly, because Ned Schneebly in the movie is like a substitute teacher and he goes around temping. And so a job opportunity opens up for Ned Schneebly, but Jack Black takes the phone and, so now he's going by Ned Schneebly all of a sudden. And then he comes across this class of kids. And
in a preppy private school.
It's a preppy private school. So these kids are there to learn, except for like one kid. I think it was like Freddie Jones. I think that's his name. And then he's like, I'm not going to teach these kids no homework for the rest of the year. Who gives a shit, right?
He's just there for a paycheck.
He's there for the paycheck to pay the rent because Ned Schneebly, the real Ned Schneebly's on his ass about it.
Fair. Pay the rent.
I know, right? And then he walks past the kids in music class, and he realizes, oh, hey, these kids can... Oh, and also to preface this whole thing, he recently got kicked out of his band.
Yeah, that's kind of important. Okay.
That's an important thing. And so, like, the Battle of the Bands is coming up. He's looking for a band to play with. And these kids come along, and he's like, hey, these kids can play. And so he starts teaching them how to, like, play rock music.
And it's a great time.
And then hijinks ensues.
Hijinks ensue. Yeah.
And it's one of Jack Black's fucking best, honestly. Like he's got
height of his powers.
He's got some bangers out there, but School of Rock, dude, it's up there. It
Can't be beat.
It's probably second or third because I just really like Nacho Libre.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, we're not talking about Nacho Libre. We're talking about School of Rock and Jack Black and Chiron switching places.
Yep.
I don't think anybody wins if those two switch places.
Absolutely not.
Oh, no. Maybe I take that back. Because here's what we know. We know Chiron has absolutely no problem taking the place of a pre-existing teacher under false pretenses. He did somehow get rid of the old Latin teacher at Yancy Academy. And
gave him a nice year vacation.
Yep. I mean, good for them. But do we know that for sure?
And then he just took... no, we don't. Of course we don't. I'm just saying,
Chiron
assuming... wouldn't hurt a mortal.
That's true. That is true. Okay. Give him a nice year vacation. And then rolled up to teach Latin. And that was cool. So in that situation, he wouldn't go to the school to try to realize his dreams of being a rock star. But if
he'd go to... Okay, let's also there's reasons that Chiron would be coming to school.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's always super important.
So we assume Miranda Cosgrove's character in School of Rock was a daughter of Athena or something.
Yeah. That whole fucking class is just demigods, and
the
one satyr is just looking around I need help.
That's true.
Just fucking shaking,
help me, please. Yeah. So everybody in that School of Rock class are demigods. Hold up. We gotta pull up who those kids are. So we already decided that Miranda Cosgrove's character, definitely a daughter of Athena, right? She's on top of it. She's very put together. Summer Hathaway. I think that was Miranda. Yeah, that was her character.
Fancy Pants. I don't remember his actual name. That's just what Jack Black's character
was that
him. Daughter, son of Athena.
Billy. I was thinking about that. What
Aphrodite.
Athena? That's very...
No, I didn't mean to say Athena. I meant
Aphrodite. Yeah. So he's the band styler. She's very into the aesthetic. He does the glam rock look. It's very big. It's very bold. He's very much himself. Yeah, I think a son of Athena. Yeah. Billy, definitely son of Aphrodite. He brings the aesthetic. There's the girl, Alicia. She was the one who sang Amazing Grace and is just whoa. And she's super shy and self-conscious, but she shows up with those pipes and crushes it. Hey, Freddie Jones. Yeah, Freddie Jones is that...
That was the kid on drums.
Yeah, it's the drummer, clearly troubled kid. I think he's the one that was hanging out with the other rockers and oh, they're cool. And that's when Jack Black has to show that he actually has the capability of being a good teacher, but being no, get the kid away from the bad influences and actually take things seriously.
Yeah.
So he is... Gosh, who would he be? Who's his demigod parent?
Thinking maybe Apollo, but he's not on the guitar. I would say
he's a drummer. That's music still.
Yeah, but it's different though, because we see Apollo. He really is about string instruments more so than any other instruments.
I mean, but that seems like his personal taste. Wouldn't he be into if he's the god of music? Yeah, he likes string instruments the best, but
yeah. Well, I was actually gonna say maybe Zach, the guitarist who wrote a song.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I forgot the kid actually wrote the song. Obviously,
he wrote that song.
Mm-hmm. The kid that makes the light show for the performance, Gordon, definitely son of Hephaestus.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think you've got two kids over here who are part of the band's security. They're clearly sons of Ares.
Yeah, Lawrence, the kid on the keyboard. It's
getting hard. It's because you want to almost all the music kids. Yeah, they're just kids of Apollo.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily just shove them in there, but where's the fun in that?
But where's the fun in that? Yeah, so you got Katie, who was she was a cellist beforehand. She actually had musical experience, and then she became the bass. Yeah. Oh, and I'm reading this on the wiki. Apparently she was supposed to have a solo scene during the credits, but Jack Black forgot his line that would have given her the cue.
Aww.
So, that sucks. But yeah, Posh Spice... I mean, maybe she's a child of a muse.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would say the three side singers would be childs of muses.
Ooh, yeah, that works. I like that a lot. The pianist who's supposed... Yeah, he's Mr. Cool. Yeah, him... I feel him being a child of Apollo because he's got that...
Aesthetic.
Oh, no, he's the kid who was worried he wasn't cool enough to be in the band.
Yeah, and so Jack Black turned him into Mr. Cool.
Yeah, he was no, what, you're cool? Yeah, again... Jack Black actually might have been a pretty good teacher in that movie. I'm not sure how great
he was under false pretenses, an incredible teacher. A great mentor.
Much like Chiron.
Yeah.
I can't see Academy.
Under false pretenses.
So I think maybe Lawrence would be like a child of like a very minor god, and that's where like his worry of like not being cool enough to hang with these like higher level like demigods would be.
Yeah.
Maybe someone like Iris or something. Nike.
Oh,
Not
yeah,
Nike.
Iris.
I think Iris.
I would say Iris because everyone's like, the god of rainbows.
Oh, or maybe the kid that makes the light show is actually like the child of Iris because he like makes this like light show. It's like, yeah, I'm the god of, my mom's the god of rainbows. Like, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Do you know what light is?
All right, well, we know Chiron would probably do a great job at Dewey's spot.
Yeah. Now, how would Dewey
Dewey
do?
fare at Camp Half-Blood?
I think he would do really well with the Apollo kids. I think he would help them like resonate with that artistic side quite a bit. I do think that maybe he would let Percy get killed. Not on purpose, but I don't know, like he's a good teacher.
I think he'd been there a while. He'd get like the feel for it and he would hire help.
I think he would. Would he
Like,
though?
Dewey is irresponsible, but he's not irresponsible enough to keep getting kids killed.
I mean, he does take children without their parents' permission to a battle of the bands.
I mean, Chiron takes children without their parents' permission to a battle.
I think, no, because the kids go home, right? Most of the kids go home for the summer. So they're...
Not all of them.
Not all of them, because some of them can't. It's either too dangerous or they don't have a good home life, so they stay. The kids that are going back, clearly their mortal parent knows what the deal is.
Maybe they don't. We've seen mortals not being able to handle the fact that they slept with a god.
That's true. So that's interesting.
Maybe some don't realize. I feel like most of the Aphrodite cabin's mortal parents don't know that they slept with Aphrodite because that would really fuck with someone.
Yeah, I guess that is interesting. Do the parents know what their kids are doing at camp? Because it very easily could just be a camp that a Seder,
a nice 3-month summer camp that they just
they send them
beg their parents to go to every
like
year.
Chiron shows up in his wheelchair and is like, I have this great camp and your child exhibits these like great skills that would make them perfect and we can help nurture those abilities.
We got fun archery and canoeing and capture the flag. And he doesn't go into detail
like what fucking capture
what capture the flag or archery
rock
or
climbing on a lava wall. That's not rock safe.
We got rock climbing.
I'd be great at that. I would be so fucking good at rock climbing on a lava wall. That'd be my favorite thing to do at Camp Half-Blood. Is get on that rock climbing wall. I love rock climbing. So, okay. I think there are two versions of the permission slip to Camp Half-Blood. No, I think there are some parents who maybe could handle the fact that they had a relationship with like a great god and their child is a demigod. Like they know and they have to accept it. So they know. I think Chiron would come and be like, here's the full scoop, and here's why your kids should go and how we can train them and how we can help them. And I think they know the rundown.
Mm-hmm.
And for the parents who don't know, who could not handle the truth, but their child needs to come to Camp Half-Blood for their own safety, they maybe have, I think you said, like the abridged version of the permission slip that just is.
They just hand a brochure and it looks like a normal.
And it's like a standard waiver.
Shots. Honestly, it's probably just normal pictures, but like the parents can't see through the mist and they just look at their kids and they're having fun, having a good time. Don't see the swords, the monsters. There are
no monsters that can't have blood, usually.
There are though.
Okay, but they're like
in the forest.
Okay, that's fair. But they're like brought in.
Yeah.
I guess that still begs the question: would Jack Black be able to?
Maybe not train. Honestly, I don't think he'd be a great trainer in fighting.
Yeah. Hold up. He's very good at nurturing the kids' inherent skills.
Yeah.
Right. So not all the kids are in the band. Yeah. Some of them have other abilities. Like you have the security team. You got the kid that like makes the light show. You got Miranda Cosgrove. So not all the kids are good at the music, or they're not interested in that. So I think that I think Jack Black shows up for some reason under false pretenses is what brings him if he learns about the Apollo cabin and all these kids who are just amazing at music. That's what brings him there. He wants these godly kids to that's what it's about. He's still there for that. And then he realizes there's a lot more going on here. Oh shit. But I think as he shows in the School of Rock movie that he is a good teacher and good at like nurturing like their talents. Because that's what he does at the end of the movie when he's talking to all the parents. He's like, they're great at this. They're great at this. I think he would recognize that in each of the campers.
Oh, he absolutely would. He wouldn't be able, like, he would nurture them, but he wouldn't be able to train
No, I
them.
don't. No. Actually, I think that maybe in that situation, he would like find YouTube tutorials and be like, how to teach a 12-year-old sword fighting. Like how I look up how to teach these kids rock climbing at the climbing gym. That I do just for each one. How to teach kids rock climbing, breathing.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe he would, and as you said, like he would get help, and it's already I think he and Dionysus might get along. Like either they would get along or they hate each other because he likes to play. What is that game there? Pinochle? Yeah.
Pinochle.
So that's what Dionysus, and I don't think Jack Black would play Pinochle.
No, I think he'd be teaching Dionysus like black.
He would teach him like he's like, why are we playing this game? I think he'd try like once and be like, this game. He would. You remember?
What the fuck?
Do you remember that one time we were playing Uno with Johnny? Audience, Johnny is our brother, and he just made up a bunch of rules to Uno. And would just outlandishly teaching.
He would say, like, he would have one card left, he'd pull another card from a random spot.
Yeah, he just, like, hid the cards.
And his, like, beanie and his fucking pants and his
yeah.
shirt. He just hid the cards all over and he was constantly.
I think that's how Jack Black would play Pinochle with Dionysus. And I think Dionysus would pretend like it annoys him, but he'd actually find it great.
Yeah, like, finally, someone to spice this shit up.
Yeah, because he can't party. He cannot party like he used to party. He's not allowed. But I feel like Jack Black brings the party. Jack Black is the son of Dionysus. Right? Like, he does the music thing. He's got Tenacious D, but like, no, he's a party god. He's like a madness. He he brings like this like revelry, but also borderline chaos with him wherever he goes.
The moment he shows up to anything, he brings chaos.
A little bit of madness. I actually think that Dionysus would pretend he hates Jack Black, but actually be like, okay, you're my best friend.
Yeah.
But also, I think Jack Black would do actually a pretty good job of training these kids. I think he would learn swordplay himself and be bad at it, but I think he would like try or like archery or some shit like that, or like find YouTube videos and be like, so this is you see this archer? They're an Olympian, and one of them's like, yeah, that's my half sister. Like, yeah, that's my fucking half sister. I know that she's an Olympian. Like, yeah, fuck yeah, obviously. She's a child of Apollo. Of course, she's my half sister. That kind of shit. He's like, oh damn. Okay, well, why do you need me to teach you? I don't. We just need you to supervise because we're 12. Okay.
Yeah, we really just need a body.
We just need a body standing over there. But yeah, I think he would encourage. And so let's talk about like him and Percy specifically.
Oh, him and Percy would probably vibe.
I think he'd vibe. I think he'd be like, all right, Percy, you got this.
I think Percy would like him because he's not your typical teacher.
Yeah. Like he liked Chiron because he's not your typical teacher.
He liked Chiron because Chiron was like very patient and nice with him. But with fucking Jack Black would be just showing him shit, and Percy would be kind of into it.
Yeah.
And Jack Black would just be fucking appalled by Percy's powers. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, what do you...
excuse my language, but holy shit.
Yeah, that would be Jack Black trying to teach. Like, right. It's like, oh... you're gonna be fine. And Percy's like, I'm so frustrated. I have this prophecy on my shoulder. And he's like, you can control the ocean with a wave of your hand. You have nothing to worry about. You're worried? Carry a bottle of water with you. You'll be fine.
Have you seen Naruto? You know how he carries that thing of sand on his back? Just do that with water. You'll be fine.
Just like literally, we'll get you a hydro flask, okay? Like, what's that sword you have and it always comes back to you? We'll do that, but with a hydro flask. You'll always have a bottle of water with you for in case of emergency. You'll be fine. Just clip. And Percy's just got like 2 hydro and like clip them, so he's always like slosh, 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 but in the echo of like the tin of the hydro flask. But like they're decorated with like stickers because like Jack Black obviously like
Percy needs to use it. It just. Because he's got to open it. It takes him so long. By the time he gets it open, By the time he gets it open, Kronos is already like charging at him, ready to thrust him.
He just like chucks the actual metal hydro flask.
He just uses the hydro flask as a grenade by throwing the water in it.
So yeah, it works. It's great. Although I think that maybe Percy would have died at the end of book 1 after he got stung by the pit scorpion because Chiron's healing ability was the only reason that Percy survived that, and Jack Black does not have healing ability.
Jack Black was just fucking.
He's like, oh god, I think he'd do his best, but like Jack Black does not have healing ability. Besides the pit scorpion thing, I think mostly everybody comes out on top in the swap. Shockingly, I was not expecting that. All right, so DJ, that covers Chiron. Did you have any closing thoughts? Any tips for people who want to play Chiron and Smite? I don't know.
He is mainly attack speed based, but you should also build a little bit of power. You gotta be around teammates when you use an ability because its passive is pretty sick. It builds stacks of medicine, and when you use an ability, it heals the lowest health person, again, within an area around
I love that.
So spatial awareness is important with him. But have fun. I mean, Chiron's not the only cool hunter.
Awesome. All right, and so that's it for this episode. Thank you, everyone, for joining us again. Hey, if you liked what you heard, send it to your favorite teacher. I don't know. No, don't do that. Don't bother. But you should reach out to your favorite.
I'm sure they'd love that. I'm sure they'd love
this episode is dedicated to teachers are great. They don't get enough credit, especially now during pandemic times when they've been asked to do a lot and it's scary. So this episode is for all the teachers out there. And so thank you all for listening. Like I said, if you like the show, please share it with your friends. Tell them about it. Tweet about it. Post on Instagram about it. I don't know. Whatever your preferred social media environment is, feel free to let folks know because we'd love to have more people come hang out. But next week, we are going to be talking about the Oracle of Delphi. Delphi.
I've heard it
heard it both ways.
Like, different mediums of like Greek. Like I think they call it Delphi in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but they call it like Delphi in like the audiobooks. So
okay, that's it for this week. Again, big shout out to all of the teachers out there. You're great. You don't get enough credit. And until next time, don't be like Zeus.
Don't be like Zeus.
Podcast of Poseidon is created, produced, and hosted by Darien and DJ Smartt. It's edited by Darien Smartt.
Our music is Athens Festival by Martin Hain. Our cover art is by Audrey Miller. Find her on Instagram at bombshellnutshellart.
Coming out with us on Instagram and Twitter at Podcast of Poseidon. Find all of our episodes and episode transcripts at podcastofposeidon.com.
Thanks for listening.